Today's lesson is called A Way with Words, Shakespearean words and phrases we still use. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
Hi everybody, welcome to our show, and today we're going to talk about Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, of course, the famous English playwright who wrote many famous plays back in the 1600s or late 1500s, whenever it was. But, because he wrote so long ago, you might think that, well, we probably aren't going to use any language that he used back then. That was like 500 years ago. Who wants to use old phrases like that? But that's not the case. There are still lots of words and phrases that we use that came directly from Shakespeare.
There you go. Shakespeare is responsible for some of the greatest works of literature as far as the English language is concerned. But did you know this? Shakespeare also made up or invented a lot of words. Yeah, he was a wordsmith, both literally and figuratively. So he could put together a heck of a sentence, but he was also coining words of his own as well. Yes, a way with words. Shakespearean words, words that Shakespeare made up, and also phrases that he used that we still use to this very day. Anyways, yes, today we'll be talking about words and phrases like these Shakespearean words and phrases that we still use. Yes, this Shakespeare guy, boy, did he ever have a way with words. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
A way with words. Shakespearean words and phrases we still use. When we think of Shakespeare, lines like "to be or not to be" from Hamlet usually come to mind. However, Shakespeare actually coined an astonishing number of words and phrases that have stuck around to this day. By some counts, the prolific playwright and poet might be responsible for over 1,700 words alone that we still use in the English language.
Hi, 大家好。第一部分我们看到的单字是 astonishing。这个字是形容词，指非常惊人的、令人惊讶的。例如，The mountain climber showed an astonishing lack of fear as he scaled the sheer cliff. 那名登山者攀爬峭壁时展现了惊人的无畏精神。另外，去除 astonishing 字尾的 ing， 则可以成为它的动词 astonish， 有使吃惊、使惊讶的意思。我们可以说 The magician's final trick astonished everyone in the audience. 魔术师最终的表演使全场观众都相当吃惊。接着，我们看到一个片语 stick around， 用来表示留下来，在某处逗留、停留。像是 Maggie stuck around until the end of the party. Maggie 一直逗留到派对结束。另外，补充一个 stick 的其他片语，可以用 stick by 代表忠于、坚持。所以可以说 When her husband was arrested, the woman promised to stick by him. 这女子的丈夫被逮捕时，她承诺会对他不离不弃。再来，我们看到形容词 prolific， 指艺术家、作家等多产的、作品丰富的。举例来说 The prolific author published nearly 100 short stories and novels. 那名多产的作家出版了将近100部的短篇故事与小说。又或者说 Harry is a prolific salesman who makes a lot of money for the company. Harry 是个业绩很好的业务员，为公司赚了很多钱。
Okay, a way with words. We often use that phrase to talk about somebody who speaks really clearly or can come up with ways to describe situations that nobody else can. Gee, Jeff, you really have a way with words. You hit the nail right on the head there. You described it perfectly. But in this particular case, we're saying that Shakespeare did have a way with words, so much so that we still use his words and phrases today. And so let's talk about some of those words and phrases that we still use. Here in the first paragraph it says, when we think of Shakespeare, lines like to be or not to be from Hamlet usually come to mind. There are probably other phrases from Shakespeare that we think about when somebody says, hey, can you quote some Shakespeare? Oh, yes, to be or not to be. Or what else could you think of? What other phrases come to mind?
Actually, I have to be honest, this is exactly what comes to my mind. When I think of Shakespeare, I think of Hamlet. To be or not to be? That is the question. And yes, there's a lot of debate about what Hamlet is talking about here. Some people think that he's deciding to either commit suicide or not commit suicide or something like that. But one way or another, these lines from Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question. These are the lines that come to mind very commonly when someone talks about Shakespeare, okay? To be or not to be. That being said, Shakespeare wrote a whole lot more than just these lines and a whole lot more than just Hamlet. Yes, however, Shakespeare actually coined an astonishing number of words and phrases that have stuck around to this day. And again, like I said during the introduction, not only could this guy write well, he actually came up with new words. He coined a lot of words. By the way, when you coin a phrase or coin a word, you invent that phrase or word. And apparently, yes, Shakespeare coined a lot of stuff. He coined many words and many phrases. And these words and phrases apparently have stuck around to this day. That is, these phrases and these words, they're still around. They're still in use. These words and phrases have lasted much longer than typical phrases usually do.
Yes, so he coined an astonishing number of words and phrases that we still use in modern times. So yes, astonishing, surprising, shocking. There are a lot of words and phrases that would surprise you that we still actually use that were written by Shakespeare. Now, by some counts, the prolific playwright and poet might be responsible for over 1,700 words alone that we still use in the English language. So, of course, Shakespeare was quite prolific, just like the American author Stephen King. My goodness, how many novels has he written? So if you're prolific, that means you simply produce a lot of stuff. He didn't just write 2 or 3 plays. He wrote many plays and lots of poems. And, of course, Shakespeare is kind of difficult to read, so you could spend your whole life reading Shakespeare and never get bored. So, of course, he's prolific, and we're saying that he's responsible for lots of words that we still use. So he's responsible, or we could say that because of him, we have all these words that we still use.
There you go. Apparently, he's responsible, or he came up with over 1,700 words. And that's just words. We're not even talking about phrases yet. And these words, these 1,700 words, we're still using them to this very day. Yes, this Shakespeare guy coined 1,700 words. He did this by himself. How amazing, how cool, how productive, how prolific. Anyways, folks, with that, it is time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back with more after this.
Swagger. If you listen to rap music, you might have heard rappers boast about their swagger, meaning their cool, confident behavior. Surprisingly, the word first appeared in the play A Midsummer Night's Dream. Shakespeare formed the word by adding the suffix er to the verb swag, which originally meant to sway. He used the word swagger to describe either a person or their behavior as arrogant. That's pretty similar to the way we use it today.
(第二部分我们看到一个单字 arrogant， 这个字是形容词，指傲慢的、自大的。像是 The arrogant nature of Mike's cover letter immediately excluded him from being hired. Mike 自视甚高的求职信让他直接不被考虑雇用。另外，补充 arrogant 的名词 arrogance, A-R-R-O-G-A-N-C-E。我们可以说 Lisa's arrogance is starting to annoy her coworkers. Lisa 的傲慢开始惹恼她的同事了。
Okay, so let's talk about some examples here of words and phrases that come from Shakespeare. The first one is swagger. Swagger, okay? Well, if you listen to rap music, you might have heard rappers boast about their swagger, meaning their cool, confident behavior. Rap music, of course, is a part of the hip-hop genre, and rap music means you basically speak a lot of poetry, and it rhymes and stuff like that. It's kind of fun to listen to. So if you're a big fan of rap music, you may have heard a word used to describe rappers is swagger. They boast about their swagger, which means they brag about it. Boy, I'm so cool. I am so smart. I come up with great rhymes and things like that. So they boast about their swagger, and swagger means that they have this cool and confident behavior. They're very sure of themselves.
Yes, rappers boast about their swagger, meaning their cool, confident behavior. Yes, they brag or they boast. Yes, if you boast, you talk very arrogantly. You talk about yourself with way too much pride. You brag. You act like a braggart. For example, you could say, I don't mean to boast, but I just had the best day of my life. I won $1 million. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to brag. I don't mean to boast, but boy, am I ever in a good mood. I feel like a rich rapper.
Okay, so swagger, okay. Well, you might not know this, but it actually came from Shakespeare. It says, surprisingly, the word first appeared in the play Midsummer Night's Dream. Maybe you've heard of that play before. Shakespeare formed the word by adding the suffix er to the verb swag, which originally meant to sway. To sway just kind of means to move gently back and forth. You might sway if you're dancing. I think I remember a song when I was a kid. Slow dancing, sway into the music, which means you kind of move back and forth because you're dancing to a slow song.
There you go. If you sway, you move side to side or back and forth in a slow or rhythmic way. For example, you could say, the trees are swaying in the wind. Yes, what a sight. When the trees sway in the wind, it makes me feel very relaxed inside. Anyways, more on Shakespeare and his use of the word swagger. Yes, Shakespeare, he used the word swagger to describe either a person or their behavior as arrogant. And yes, earlier I did use a form of this word, arrogant. I said if you boast, you talk very arrogantly. Arrogantly would be the adverb. Arrogant would be the adjective.
That's right, arrogant. So that word can be used to describe someone who is arrogant. At least that's the word that Shakespeare used, describing somebody who's kind of arrogant and too full of themselves. And that's pretty similar to the way we use it today. So thank you, Bill Shakespeare, for giving us that word. Okay, let's move on now to the next part of our lesson and find out some more about words and phrases from Shakespeare.
Unreal. Another word Shakespeare crafted by adding an affix to an existing word is unreal. Apparently, Shakespeare added the prefix un to many words, creating over 300 new ones this way. Unreal was first used in Shakespeare's Macbeth, when Macbeth uses it to describe a ghost he sees. It initially meant not real, but has also become a slang term to describe something as so amazing that it's hard to believe.
第三部分，我们看到动词 craft 有精心制作、周密制定之意。举例来说 The speechwriter crafted a statement for the president to deliver at his press conference. 演说拟稿人替总统精心撰写要在记者会上发表的声明稿。另外 craft 除了可以当动词，还可以当作名词，指船舶。可以说 The Weather Bureau warned that small crafts should stay off the sea. 气象局警告小船应该留在岸边，不要出海。最后，我们看到单字 affix 这个字为名词，课文中用来指词缀。例如 The affix logy is often used to represent a theory, such as psychology and ecology. 词缀 logy 时常使用来表示学说，像是心理学以及生态学。另外，这个字当作动词时，重音往后挪，并成 affix， 有附加上的意思。所以我们可以说 Be sure to affix the company seal to the contract after both parties have signed it. 务必要在双方都在合约上签名，再附加上公司的印章。
So earlier, folks, we learned what the word swagger means. Okay, if you have swagger, that means you act in a cool, confident way. You might even be arrogant. You might act in an overly confident way. That's what swagger is all about. Now, the next word, coined by Shakespeare, is unreal. Let's go ahead and talk about that right now. Another word Shakespeare crafted by adding an affix to an existing word is unreal. So earlier we talked about swagger. Okay, Shakespeare formed this word by adding the suffix er to the verb swag. There you go. A suffix is an affix. Letters that you add to the end of a word, like with swagger, swag plus er. Now you also have something called a prefix, okay? That would be a situation where you add letters to the beginning of a word. That would be a prefix. So here, unreal, you have the word real, and you add un, the prefix un, to the front of that word, or to the beginning of that word, forming this new word, unreal.
That's right. So when he did that, he was creating a new word. So in the sentence, we have the verb to craft. Craft can also be a noun, like with arts and crafts. Crafts are things that you make with your hand, especially if they're creative things, like maybe little baskets or something like that. Those could be arts and crafts. But here, craft is being used as a verb. That means you use special skills to make something. Lots of temple statues are crafted by artisans who've had years of training. So here, of course, he crafted or created this word by adding un to the word real. Unreal. I didn't know that. I thought this word was with the language for centuries.
There you go. Now, apparently, Shakespeare added the prefix un, to many words, creating over 300 new ones this way, i.e. by adding this prefix un. And again, er and swagger, that's a suffix. Those are letters that you add to the end of a word, whereas a prefix, that means you add those letters to the beginning of a word. Anyways, unreal was first used in Shakespeare's Macbeth, when Macbeth uses it to describe a ghost he sees.
That's right, and that is a good word to describe a ghost, because we don't think of ghosts as being real, or at least real in the living sense. So he described the ghost that he saw as being unreal. Now, it initially meant not real, but has also become a slang term to describe something as so amazing that it's hard to believe. Wow, those fireworks are unreal. They are so great that it's really hard to believe they really exist. So that's what it meant initially. Initially means at the beginning. That's what the term meant, or at least how Shakespeare wanted to use it. Unreal spirit or whatever. And so that's what it meant initially. I could say, I initially wanted to go to Japan, but I went to Taiwan instead.
There you go. Yes, the adverb is initially. It means at first, at the beginning, at the start. You guys get the idea. And I've got an example sentence for you guys as well. You could say, I did not take to smelly tofu initially. So at first, I didn't like it, but since then, I have developed a taste for it. Now, we also have this word slang to talk about. When we're talking about slang, we're talking about informal language. Yes, when people use slang, they might not be speaking in a way that seems grammatically correct, or they might be using language that feature words that don't really exist. They don't really exist in the sense that these words might not be in a dictionary or something like that. So yes, people are using these words. The words are unfamiliar. Things don't seem to be grammatically correct. Yeah, that's what slang is all about. It's kind of like street language, okay? It's language that people have made up between one another or has been generated in casual conversation amongst a particular group of people. They start saying things amongst one another that might not sound correct, but it's meaningful for them.
Right, and remember, slang is a non-count noun, so please don't add an S to that. The same rule applies to vocabulary. How much vocabulary do you know? How much American slang do you know? Etc. So it has become a slang term or a slang word that describes something that is so amazing that it's hard to believe it really exists. So indeed, that's what the word unreal means nowadays. So you can use that now. People do use it in everyday conversation. Wow, that concert was unreal. I'm so glad I went. It was totally worth the ticket price.
There you have it. All right, folks, with that, today's lesson is in the books, but don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is on her way.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的最后一句提到 By some count, the prolific playwright and poet might be responsible for over 1,700 words alone that we still use in the English language. 好，句子里面用到 alone， 它是当副词，表示单单只有什么什么，光是什么什么。它可以摆在名词的后面来做修饰，像是 The special effects alone make the movie worth seeing. 光是特效就足以让这部电影值得一看了。好，另外我们来学一下 responsible 的用法，它是形容词，用来表达负有责任的，对什么什么负责的。那常见的用法有3种，第一种是 be responsible for 加上名词或动名词，用来表达对什么什么负有责任、负有全责，那就是带有正面的语义，像是 Jeremy is responsible for organizing the office party. Jeremy 负责筹划办公室的派对。好，第二个用法是 be responsible for 加名词，那这时候它可以用来表达对什么什么负有责任。跟刚刚的不一样哦，它就是表达说对某个意外、过错或是罪来负责，带有负面的意思。像是 Derek was responsible for the car accident. Derek 要为那一场车祸负责。好，第3种我们可以用 be responsible for something 来表达是什么什么的原因，或者是造成什么，导致什么。像课文就是这样的用法。例如 The hurricane was responsible for billions of dollars in damages. 那个飓风呢，造成数十亿美元的损失。好，我们再造一个例句哦。Melissa is responsible for most of the improvements here. 这里大部分的改善都是因为 Melissa。好，课文最后提到说 Unreal 这个字第一次是用在莎士比亚的马克白里面，它原本是指非真实的，那后来也成了俚语用语。好，这边用到一个副词是 initially， 它表示最初或是一开始，那它的形容词是 initial， 我们就来学习它的字首字根。好， IT 这个字根呢，意思是 go， 它表示走、行走或者是去，像 visit 拜访，orbit 轨道， circuit 环形路线，这几个单字里面都有 it 这个字根，对不对？好，那么在 initial 这个字当中呢，它的字首 in 表示进入，然后 it 表示走， ial 是形容词字尾。同学们可以试着联想，当你从入口开始往里面走进去，那就表示你是从起点开始走的，所以 initial 这个字就表示开始的、最初的。好，顺便补充2个有相同字根的单字，第一个是 exit E-X-I-T， 好，它的字首 E-X 表示向外，it 表示走，所以 exit 它有出口或是离开啊、退场的意思，这样应该很好联想吧。好，那么第2个是 transit T-R-A-N-S-I-T， 它的字首 trans 表示贯穿， it 表示走，所以 transit 它其实有过境、通过的意思。像我们说 transit passenger 就可以用来表达过境旅客。好，以上是今天的重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Astonishing. The report gives astonishing details that were previously unknown to the public. Boast. Jamie is always boasting about how influential his family is. Sway. Some of the audience members swayed in their seats to the rhythm of the music. Arrogant. Some people behave in an arrogant manner in order to hide a lack of confidence. Craft. After the country gained independence, the founders carefully crafted a new constitution. Initially. The singer's album was initially supposed to be released this month, but the date has been changed. Slang. It's hard to keep up to date with the latest slang because the terms change so quickly.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.